This episode is sponsored by the very awesome Petra Kolb. Hello and welcome back to Film Pro Productivity and Success, the podcast that helps film professionals and other creative people to live a more focused, effective and happy life. My name is Carter Ferguson and this is episode 69, Don't Give Up, and coming soon. No matter what happens, or how bad it seems today, life goes on, and it will be better tomorrow. Maya Angelou, unquote. And I'm back, yes, I am back. Here at last, I hear you cry. It's been actually 2 months since I released an episode, and actually as I ended that last season, season 4, I wasn't sure if I was even going to be able to do any more of these at all because they were taking so much time up. But I'll talk about that a little bit later on. I launched season 4 just as the COVID-19 crisis was beginning to peak for the first time. And I can announce now that season 5 will launch on Sunday the 6th of September. And it will go on every Sunday after that at 7 p.m. for 12 weeks. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and I'll be offering a little bit of advice on how you can keep going if you are struggling. And I think it's fair to say that the creative industries have been devastated by this pandemic. For myself, I haven't had any paid work in 17 weeks. Well, that's not entirely true. I did make £75 co-hosting a beginners podcasting webinar with my friend and guest of last season, Gillian Dick of the Go-To agency in Glasgow. And those episodes I did with her are 65 and 66. That's talking social media, personal branding and more with Gillian Dick. And they've been extremely popular, by the way. So if you haven't listened to them, I strongly urge you to go back and do so. And I was also, during this time, very relieved to receive some government money from the Self-Employed Income Support Scheme here in the UK. But I earn my living choreographing fight scenes for film, TV and theatre. And although I can stage some non-contact fights, the 2-metre distancing rules mean that finding employment in that role, the role of fight director in the foreseeable future, is sadly extremely unlikely. But don't worry, folks, this isn't a poor me episode. I've been freelancing for 25 years and I am very well aware that just as quickly as work arrives, it can completely disappear. And I'm also aware that I could get injured or have some other form of bad luck. So I have made some preparations for rough times such as this. But I have to admit that things are looking grim right across the creative industries, and with each day I feel the progressive kind of erosion of, in particular, the theatre industry in the UK, but also in film and television. I say in the UK, I'm just aware of it here in the UK. I'm aware of it all over the world, but the local headlines are what I tend to catch, and I realise we're in a pretty bad way. I sense it's taking a very serious toll on all of these creative industries. I mean, I've got some thoughts on what we can be doing here to keep producing content in the short term, but no one in power is consulting me on this. And I wouldn't expect them to, but if I can't control it, I can't really do that much worrying about it. Most of the important things in the world have been accomplished by people who have kept on trying where there seemed to be no hope at all. Dale Carnegie, unquote. What I can do, however, is deal with the things that are within my power. I can attempt to get ahead of the curve of problems that might be coming, and I can plan new things. The first episode of Season 5, in fact, is all about learning to adapt. And I'll be adapting myself by looking at avenues of business that are not in the creative industries. It's actually something I've long wanted to do, an episode about starting a business that's not in the business. And this, I think, is my opportunity. And I'm considering 2 different business ventures, and I've already signed up for a course which will help me with one of them, and earmarked September through till December for its study. Opportunity, though, the word opportunity is how I have been looking at these 17 weeks of unemployment. And believe you me, I have used that time wisely. I urged you all, in fact, to seize the opportunity at the start of Season 4 in an episode called Why Self-Isolation is a Productivity Gift. I hope that you took my advice to heart and spent your time wisely. I mean, in the past 17 weeks, I've produced 27 new episodes of this show. I've completed an editing course on DaVinci Resolve, and I've invested in an initial business venture, another business venture, that should see income coming back to me as early as this month. This is August while I'm recording this. I've also sat a short search engine optimization course and started working on refurbishing and curating new content for both of my websites. Time is free, but it's priceless. You can't own it, but you can use it. You can't keep it, but you can spend it. Once you've lost it, you can never get it back. Harvey Mackay, unquote. So let's have a wee talk about what's coming up. Season 5 will consist of 12 brand new episodes in a slightly shorter format for the most part than they've been like recently. This formatting change was made as I was really getting stretched near breaking point with the longer 20 to 30 minutes or longer, as some of them actually were getting up to 50 minutes. I think 2 of them got up to 50 minutes, which is ridiculous. When it's solo content, that just takes up a massive amount of time to put together. But the standard episodes now will be nearer the original Season 1 length of about, I hope, 10 to 15 minutes, with very occasional interview shows interspersed without them. And there's no interview shows in Season 5, however, but solo shows will go out as follows. Episode 70 is all about being flexible and adapting to circumstance, as I mentioned before. 71 is called Mission Creep and talks about how things can get out of hand if you aren't careful. 72 is nice and simple. It's about smart goal setting, and I've been through this subject before, but it keeps coming back up, so I'm dedicating a whole episode just to that premise. Smart being, now I've got to remember, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time sensitive, but I'll go into it in far more detail than that basic description. 73 is another subject that you might have heard of, but what is it and how can we use it to benefit us? And it's all about SWOT analysis. That's SWOT analysis. Episode 74 talks about why we must become comfortable being uncomfortable if we are to succeed. It's a very simple premise, but it's really quite a strong episode, I think. And shows 75 and 76 are part 1 and part 2 of 10 lessons from How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It's one of the most famous self-help books there is. But what can we learn from it, especially today? I think it was released in the 30s. Tune in to find out. Episode 77 was actually written for Season 4, but got dropped. Actually, I had 3 episodes either in process of being prepped or completed when I decided to change things because I felt I needed to respond to the crisis that was happening right there and then. And it's a longer episode as it was prepped for that season, and it's called Pride and Arrogance. Episode 78 is all about something called the labour illusion. And I really love to bring business skills to this podcast, as too many creative people out there, and I did this myself for a very, very long time, forget that we are in a business at all. I keep saying it, remember that we're in show business. I think it can sometimes get lost. And this abstract concept of the labour illusion is just a really cool thing, and I think you'll find it very beneficial. Episodes 79 and 80 are another two-parter. This came actually from a suggested topic on Twitter. I put a little bit of a call last week, and I've put together 2 shows about it, and it's called 10 Ways to Motivate and Inspire Others. And my final episode is all about Stoicism. The Stoics believed that the development of self-control and fortitude was a means of overcoming destructive emotions. And I believe more and more in this day and age that if you want to get ahead, stay on top of difficult situations, and in turn find success that I keep going on about, that you really have to embrace the teachings of the Stoic philosophers. Let me never fall into the vulgar mistake of dreaming that I am persecuted whenever I am contradicted. Ralph Waldo Emerson, unquote. I feel that I should issue a warning about trying not to get drawn in by the hysteria that I think is building across the world right now. And I encourage you always to think for yourself, to utilise the high-level thinking that I talk about right in episode 1 to navigate your life and your work. Some of the scenes that are appearing on our television screens and on YouTube and social media lately have been frankly frightening. This pandemic is bringing out the worst in some people, and the press are stirring the pot. I want to give you a piece of Stoic philosophy to bear in mind as this continues. It's from Marcus Aurelius, who said, "You always own the option of having no opinion. There is never any need to get worked up or to trouble your soul about things you can't control. These things are not asking to be judged by you. Leave them alone." And this doesn't mean that you don't have to care, but try and use your high-level state of thinking to get you through this. Try not to get dragged along by other people's mass opinion. Try and hold your own thoughts. Listen to the episode on manipulators or the one on outrage porn, perhaps more specifically, if you want to know more about being manipulated. You mustn't allow yourself, by association, to become a victim. Nobody with a victim mentality will get anywhere, ever. They will never succeed. Never be bullied into silence, and never allow yourself to be made a victim. Now, William Shatner said, "You and I and everybody in show business and in the entertainment industry fly by the seat of our pants. We don't know quite what is going to happen." Well, ain't that the truth in 2020? If you're an out-of-work freelancer like I am, there's a few things that you can do to increase the likelihood, though, of getting back to work more swiftly. I want to talk about them just now. If you've been struggling over this, then here's some suggestions for you. Number one, and I've done this already, is communicate with your regular employers. Don't bore them to death. Don't hassle them, but touch base and let them know that you're there and you're ready to work. You might find that the contact sparks a conversation about your return. And another thing you can do is, if you've not been looking at the rules and regulations relating to filming during this pandemic, then you really should do so. I'm going to post a number of links in the show notes with information on this. There's loads of people have released it. I think the first one that I saw that came out was the Florida Film Board. I think I've got that downloaded somewhere, or I've got a link to it, and I've got a link to some stuff released in the UK. I'll put together what I can about how things are going, and I'll make that maybe a downloadable document. You just put in your email address maybe, or I'll maybe have it just straight on the page. I don't know, I haven't done it yet, but go to the show notes on filmproproductivity.com and you'll be able to download some stuff. If you're not across it, you should be across it. The third thing I'd suggest is that you should prepare a back-to-work kit, and I've done this already. I bought various supplies that I might need. That's face masks, about 50 face masks, about 100 gloves, about hand sanitizer, etc. And I did that so that if I had to return to work tomorrow, that I would be fully prepared. The fourth thing that I want to suggest is that you look for free online courses on COVID-19 protocols. You just find one. There's loads of them around. In fact, there's some in the UK. I'll post a link to at least one of them in the show notes that you can go for. But I'm sure there are others are around on the planet. I know I've got listeners in Kenya and in America and in Hong Kong and Australia, etc., etc. There will probably be local ones to you. I'll post a couple that you might be able to access that are UK ones. But I would suggest that you find one of these courses and sit it. The one that I haven't done it yet, actually, even though I'm talking about it. The one that I have to do is 40 minutes worth of study, 20 minutes worth of a test. And the reason I suggest that you do it is when that call comes with potential work, you can say that you've already done it, you're already across it. And this, I think, will increase your likelihood of getting re-employed quickly. The last thing I'd suggest is that you take a little bit of time to write out how your job might change and come up with some solutions to problems that perhaps only you might be aware of in your department. Once you've got that, you can share this information with those same potential employers in a separate communication so that they know not only that you're thinking about all of this, but again, that you are ready and willing to get going. Get your head. These are just 5 things I wrote down off the top of my head. Get your head thinking this way. How, if you're in people's mind, you're far more likely to be employed. Also, if you're across it now, your transition into work is going to be a lot easier. Don't think you're going to go into work and it's all going to be the same as it was before. Until that vaccine turns up, and I still think we're a couple of years away from it, we're probably going to be having to live with this. That's if we're lucky enough to get any work at all. So I just want you to get your head into that headspace. Do some communications. Communicate with people you work with as well, with your colleagues. And I think that will just help you transition back into the workspace again. Just think it's worthwhile. Give it a try. Ronald Reagan once said, "We can't help everyone, but everyone can help someone." And that's what I try to do here with this show. If you want to help this podcast to grow and reach more people, it would really, really help me in return if you would please go to whatever app that you're listening on and leave me a review. Of all the things that you can do, leaving a review is possibly the most helpful, in fact. And there's been 68 episodes released so far, and they are full of useful information. Often someone will reach out to me, though, on social media, and I try to help when I can, but the reality is that some people just don't want to be helped there. They're perhaps just seeking attention or venting frustration with life, and 9 times out of 10 I find that they really don't want to receive advice. But if people that are in trouble, however, they go out of their way to listen to this show, then I believe that they are genuinely wanting help. This podcast is what I do to give back to people in the creative communities that I love. So please, if you can, spread the word. The next episode will arrive at 7 p.m. GMT, that's British time, on the 6th of September, and that's the first show of Season 5. And incidentally, I have reduced the price of sponsorship this season as I know that times are hard, and I've also been able to reduce the costs a little. Actually, I was able to pay for 2 years of the website hosting from the money that I raised last time, so I don't have that cost this time around. And I've cancelled my buffer subscription, which is what I was using to schedule posts to go out when I was offline, etc. Some of you will be aware that I've been offline for 30 days just prior to releasing this episode, which was fantastic. Again, go back and listen to, I can't remember the episode number, it's in the 30s somewhere, maybe 33, I guess, and it's called Less Scrolling, More Living. You should seriously consider a social media break if you want to get stuff done. So, episodes this season are just £15 to sponsor, paid via PayPal. And if you want to back a show, please get in touch with me via the contact link on the website, filmproproductivity.com. And by the way, if you don't want to sponsor a show but you love it, I would really love to hear any words of feedback. So leave me a review, as I say, or hit me up on one of the social networks. Anything that you can do in the time that you've got would be hugely appreciated. And on the subject of sponsorship, there is a little bit of noise around about the show at the moment, and I have been approached by 2 different people about potentially backing the show in some way. One of those approaches has come from someone, a fellow podcaster that I really trust, and although I had never planned to put commercial breaks or whatever into the show, what is being offered is very, very interesting, and I believe would greatly increase the listenership of the show. So that's just something I'm in discussion about. But for now, for the moment, sponsorship for the show is available at just £15. There you go. Commercial over. But I want to finish up now by urging you not to give up on 2020 just yet. And today I've talked about the business repercussions and about how productivity productivity can help us, because that's the point of this show. But I'm also very well aware of the human costs of this pandemic too. So please don't think that I am being dismissive of the pain and human loss that this horrible virus has done and is continuing to do to the world. I've seen so much negativity on social media and elsewhere about what's going on, however, that I worry that if you allow yourself to freeze in the headlights, as it were, of this situation, that you're going to be missing out on this incredible opportunity to learn new things, organise your life, and prepare for success. We've got several months left of 2020. Don't write it off. All is not lost. Seize the day, every day. And let me end with the words of Maya Angelou, who started this episode off. She also said, "You may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated. In fact, it may be necessary to encounter the defeats so that you know who you are, what you can rise from, how you can still come out of it." Now take control of your own destiny. Keep on shooting, my friends, and join me next time on Film Pro Productivity and Success. The music that you can hear right now is Adventures by Ehimitsu. You can view the show notes for this episode on filmproproductivity.com. That is the official website. And you can follow my personal accounts on Twitter and Instagram at fight_director, or follow the show on Twitter at FilmProProdPod, or on Facebook at FilmProProductivity. Please support the show by subscribing, spreading the word, and leaving an awesome review.